Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead and fire away with your questions. Anything goes for yourself or for somebody else. Go ahead and fire away.
You can unmute yourself. You can raise your hand. Go ahead, Peggy, then Shravananda.
Oh, that's how you do it. I had to think, how do I unmute myself? The inula, I like it quite a bit. Did I miss the note where, is it an anti-inflammatory? The reason
Not
I
like
asked,
everything else. No, it's more antispasmodic than anything. Yeah.
I have to tell you, when I use it, I usually at night before I doze off, or if I'm kicked back and my heart's dancing around, I'll put it on and I'm calmed. But then I have to get up and potty void 3 or so times during the night. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's an anti-inflammatory and I'm doing that to myself.
Well, that would be more of a diuretic rather than an anti-inflammatory.
Okay, diuretic. Maybe that's
I
what I was looking for.
don't think that has diuretic properties. Let me double check that real
Maybe it's just my body.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
you are going, but when you're using that, you are going into more of a rest and repair mode.
okay.
And it's possible. Let me just look some things up here real quick.
Well, it's not rest and repair when I have to get to go potty 3 or 4 times a night. And so that was the reason I was asking. I'm sure it's good for me to void out any excess fluid, but
And you're not using anything else at the time?
no, usually an hour or 2 before I actually get ready to doze off, I do take my vitamin E and my usually vitamin E and a thyroid med. So no, I'm not taking anything that would work. I don't usually even take any C or magnesium at that time frame. I do those in the morning so that I have all day for my body to process, kind of thing. So no, I can honestly say I'm not doing anything that should make me get up and void every couple 3 hours. So maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I'm still looking it up. Hold on.
A diuretic, I got it. But I certainly like it. My heart seems to be, or my body seems to be like rest and repair, calmer, soother.
So it's not saying in my notes, it's not saying diuretic, but it is something to be used for weak and insufficient kidney function. So it's improving kidney function. That doesn't mean that it would stimulate, like diuretic would be like stimulating the elimination, kind of whether you needed it or not. Here it would just be improving kidney function. So if there was an excess, it would help kick it off, but it wouldn't act still as a diuretic.
Well, maybe I should have them check my when I do blood work every 3 or so, 4, whatever it is. And we never check my kidneys. I assume they're good, but nobody ever really checks them. So maybe it's a good thing. It's strengthening my kidneys by doing that.
If anything, like here with the overactivated adrenals and things like that, it would diminish the tendency to get up and have to go to the bathroom. So I would go back to it's probably improving kidney function.
Well, that's interesting. But I thank you very much for humoring me here. Thank you for all that you do. I love my oils, and I've been playing with the one I can't really pronounce, AMMI.
Ami Visnaga. Yeah.
How do you say it again, please?
Ami Visnaga.
Visnaga. I'm sorry, but I've been playing with that to what I think is to increase my conscious dreaming, or my dream state. Am I using it properly? I like it.
Dream state.
I mean,
it wouldn't be, it's definitely opening up the chest and helping to release things in in the emotional body. I don't know that I'd say that it was something that you would use for that, but
Okay,
no, it could.
well, I'm enjoying my oils. I thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Happy holidays to all.
You too.
It is. It's a good day.
And go ahead, Shraddhananda.
Hey, Shradnanda.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing good. How about you? How's life in your world?
There's a lot going on around here. It makes
I
me
bet.
what the planets are up to.
Yeah.
My first question is about my grandmother. She's
Mhm.
98 and a half. I think she is preparing for transition. She's was put on hospice on Friday. She's stopped talking. She's actually become combative, and
Yeah.
they're giving her, I don't know what, some medication for when she's agitated, what she's done. So they say that she's screaming, but what it sounds to me is like she's drifting off to sleep and she's having night terrors.
Yeah.
And so she wakes up screaming.
Right.
And she's bitten a couple of people that tried to put something in her mouth, like medicine or whatever.
Mhm.
She's regained a bit of an appetite. I mean, it's very slight. Like she wasn't eating for a couple of days, but now she's drinking some Ensure, and she ate applesauce today. So I just feel like she's having a really difficult time transitioning. And we're like 5 states apart. So I'm just wondering, can I send anything for them to put in her diffuser? She's got, I think before you recommended, I can't remember, some type of eucalyptus for her.
Mhm.
And lavender. I ordered your lavender lotion, and her aide's been putting it on her feet. Just anything I can do from here. Or
I would do one of a couple of things. Like you
Okay.
don't have to do a whole bunch of different things, but traditionally, like there's things that you can use to help a person in the process of making a transition. One would be basil. Basil would just be straight up, kind of easy. Put it in the diffuser. You could put it on the body if you wanted to, but just even putting it in the diffuser would be good enough. The other one I would say in a situation like this, spikenard might be a little bit of a better choice. It's calming, it's soothing, reduces the stress response. I'm with you on that. Like she's starting to kind of touch the other side and then kind of has like a panic or gets really super disoriented. The
Yeah.
spikenard should kind of calm that down.
Okay.
If it was somebody with dementia, I'd probably go more like jasmine or something of like that nature. But here, you're just needing to calm them down for the process. And the thing, like either diffusing it or put it on their feet, it kind of rapidly cleans up their energy body so that when the time comes, they kind of take like a bigger leap into the inner world, you could say.
Yeah.
And it just helps their process, their transition.
And I'm wondering if I have time to get this to her.
Yeah, if she's in process. I mean, if you're going to send it, I would just overnight it. And if you want us to send it, we can't ship anything tomorrow,
Right.
but Wednesday we can probably overnight it to her.
Okay.
Even if we have to make it or something.
Okay.
Spikenard we have ready to go, but we could make like a little ointment that they rub on our feet with the spikenard as well.
Okay.
But what does she have? Lavender and
It was some special eucalyptus you told me to get her, because she was really holding on, with the fear of
right.
of,
I mean, even just the lavender, they could go a little bit harder on the lavender. I mean, it works kind of like the spikenard. Spikenard will be stronger, but still, it's it's what they have, and they could double down on that a little bit.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the light around her has just really been increasing greatly, and I think she
yeah,
falls asleep and it just startles her.
yeah. Yeah, she probably wakes up and doesn't know where she's at, or that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is there anything I can do for her from here? I've been holding space and talking to her while holding space and explain.
Like hold your hands up like so, and like roll the outer two fingers down,
Uh-huh.
and then just kind of visualize her, kind of connect with her, and then do Om Mani Padme Hum,
Okay.
like you're trying to get a baby to go to sleep.
Okay.
Like Om Mani, like that, like you're trying to lullaby a baby.
Okay. Lullaby too.
Yeah, it'd be super, super soothing for her.
Okay. Because yesterday, all of a sudden, I was feeling so ill, like I just got hit with the most vicious flu. And I was like, where did this come from? And so I just got really quiet and started meditating. I was like, oh my gosh, Grams, you don't have to hold on to me that tightly. You're okay.
Right.
She was
Yeah.
seriously grasping.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how afraid she is.
Yeah. When somebody gets close, they've either made their peace with it, or they kind of hold on for as long as they can. It's part of it's what kept her alive for so long, but at the same time, at the end, sometimes it makes it hard to let go of that final little, and it could be a little bit of fear, but more than anything, it's like habit. Like they just have a hard time shutting that habit down of just clinging and holding on to the body.
I'm glad you said that because it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
make
it's
any
more
sense.
probably more habit than anything.
Yeah, because she's been saying for the last 8 years, I'm ready to go. I'm
Yeah.
just ready to go be with God. I'm so
Yeah,
ready.
yeah, yeah,
So to see her cling this tightly is
yeah.
hard.
It's more habit than anything. Like they just, back in the day when I was doing healings all the time, there's just people that what kept them alive was that habit, but at the end, it kind of kept them in their body longer than it needed to because they just couldn't shut it down.
Okay.
It's a physiological drive, but it gets so strong in some people, which can be very good, but at the end, it's just becomes a thing that there's ways of undoing that, but I would say I never like to go down that road of keeping or helping somebody leave the body like that. Like it's their time when it's their time, unless it's just some, it was a bad accident and they just can't get out of their body and they're brain dead and, all that kind of stuff, then I would help it out. But
No, I just wanted to eat and
yeah, I kind of don't like making the choices. Like you just kind of make everything as right as possible.
yeah.
Their physiology will do it at some point.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks so much for that. And
Yeah. And how are you doing though?
I, I'm I'm in process.
You're right.
So I've noticed that I'm having these bursts of anxiety, and my the only thing I can figure is, like I've been wound tight like a corkscrew, and it's popping through here and there because it it's never it's not usually something that should bother me.
Mm.
Like, I don't know, you open the refrigerator and you're out of milk, and then the tears come. And so
Right.
I think it's post-trauma.
Yeah.
And I've got all these wonderful protocols you've given us for anxiety and things, but I kind of need a go-to.
Yeah. So interesting, like because it's not just like you're having anxiety out of the blue, you're having anxiety post an accident. And so, it brings up some other potentials, which they're not always like the first thing that you would think of when it comes to anxiety, but given the nature of how you ended up there,
Yeah.
it opens it up to like, well, there's other things to kind of look at. And one of them, it's not something that we think of very much, but sometimes some anxiety can actually be a circulatory issue. And we are actually even looking at it in the, what is it, the mystical protection class, because it's tied to like your ability to protect yourself, and the reactions are tied to circulation to the brain, heart fatigue or cardiac fatigue, and then the circulation through the arms and legs, I should say. And, a lot of times we think of, or at least when I'm talking about it, we got to calm down the legs, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to open up the channels of the legs. Well, sometimes in certain situations, you actually want to increase the circulation of the arms and legs. And then once you do that, you move the blood to the head. And this can be very relaxing, can be very calming, and it's also very protective in nature. We're going to do a more in-depth version of it in the protection class, because part of your ability to protect yourself from other people is tied to several things, but a big piece of it is like your cardiovascular function. And so I for this, I would actually you could do this with very simple oils. Like I would take something like, do you have like camphor? Like just good old fashioned camphor or whole wood or something like that?
I think I might have a little like a little
Okay, so let me give you choices like camphor, melissa, neroli.
I have Melissa and Neroli.
Okay, so either one of those, because really what you're doing is you're treating more cardiac fatigue than you are treating like the anxiety and stuff.
Okay.
And even when we talk about sometimes putting vetiver on the arms and legs, it's calming and soothing, but it also increases circulation. And so here we want to strengthen the cardiac function, the circulatory function in the arms and legs. And so go through with Melissa or whichever oil that you have, and go like joint by joint through the arms. And then once you get through the whole arm, put your awareness on the whole arm itself, like how you do body awareness, but do it on the arm itself. So you're doing both arms, and then inhale that for a while, then go to the legs and do the same thing. Go to the hips, the knees, the ankles, the soles of the feet, and then awareness on the whole leg. Inhale into that. Do that several times, then go to the back heart. Your awareness is on the back heart. You inhale that for several times. Then, so you're doing all that with, the one oil, right? And then step 2 would be to take some form of rosemary. If you don't have rosemary, things like hyssop can work, something that's a cephalic.
Is
And so-
verbena okay?
Yeah, rosemary verbena is actually what I use.
Okay.
Usually when I do this with some people, I use the camphor on the arms and legs and then rosemary verbena. And you just kind of start working from your feet and working your way up to the head. And what you're doing there is, because rosemary and rosemary verbena, all of these are cephalics, which means it moves blood to your head. You're increasing the circulation to the brain. And if you think about it from a physiological point of view, I mean, this is why it's in the self-protection class, is that if you have a decrease of circulation to the brain, then you have decreased oxygen, like your cognitive functions kind of go down for a little bit, and you don't have the oxygen, so you become more reactive. You know, you're not able to like think things out because you don't have like the oxygen and the blood supply to do it. You know, sometimes we're talking about it from the point of view of the neurology, sometimes we're talking about it from the point of view of endocrine function. But here, like sometimes some of these triggers are just a circulatory issue. And by increasing the circulation in the arms and legs, it already makes the brain stronger. And then you're moving it from the back heart to the brain. And again, you're increasing the circulation. So you would think like, oh, be more aware. It's very relaxing, it's very soothing, and it reduces the tendency to be like reactive. Because even if you look at somebody that has a cardiovascular issue like heart fatigue, a blocked artery, something like that, they have a reduced amount of blood going to the brain. And so they'll start to have changes and shifts in their behavior, and it's just because the brain's not getting the level of oxygen that it should. And so here, if you go through and treat that, you'll probably find in your particular case, it's relaxing, it's soothing, and you become less reactive. If you go back to the arms and legs, when they're tight and the circulation is off, it's actually tied to like automatic behavior, automatic thinking, which means your brain doesn't get a chance to process it. It just reacts.
Mhm.
And you diminish the potential for lower emotions to be transmuted by your physiology into higher emotions. And so it hits a bunch of physiology, and it hits a little bit of the psyche a bit, but you'll probably find that it's very relaxing and soothing, and it will help accelerate the healing process for the things you're going through.
That sounds great, because
Yeah.
the anxiety is abnormal for me, and my
Yeah.
emotions are just like,
Yeah, I
weak.
would say it's actually literally a circulatory issue.
Okay, so question, with the Melissa, once I get to the back heart, then do I go to the brain? Or stop at the back heart?
Do the back heart. Let me look up what I do on my notes. I'll tell you exactly what we do.
Okay.
Okay, this is actually what I'm having them do in the protection class is if you have camphor, maybe try camphor, but if you don't, like even if it's a little tiny bottle and something,
Okay.
if not, use the Melissa. But I have them do the back heart, actually do the back heart first.
Oh, okay.
I told you to do it last, but do it first.
Okay.
Then armpits, elbows, wrists, palms, and then whole arms.
Okay.
And then hips, knees, ankles, soles, and legs.
Okay.
And then you're still using the camphor or the Melissa. And then the next piece is lungs, liver, gallbladder, kidney, spleen.
Okay.
And then with the rosemary verbena,
Yes.
you're starting at your feet and you're just working your way up to the top of the head. Like you're just working your way through the body, because you want to move all the blood from the limbs all the way up. And actually, we haven't sent out the newsletter tonight. We'll be doing it later. I actually put this protocol in the newsletter. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
like I didn't do the whole thing out of the class, but I just did the two pieces that we're talking about.
Yeah,
Because there's this other piece where you're connecting it's how energy moves from the heart to the crown is tied to the vagus nerve and the medulla. And so we do an extra little piece with that, and then we tie in a brainwave. But for just treating what we're talking about, you don't really need to do those pieces. Those are more for protection.
okay,
Like here, you're just trying to increase the circulation so that the circulation regulates and you decrease the tendency to be triggered, and it diminishes the anxiety.
I'm
Yeah.
looking so
Yeah.
forward to doing this. And
So like in trauma situations,
yeah,
I'm just saying this in general for everybody. So like you look at this for trauma situations, people who have asthma or bronchitis, and asthma, bronchitis, trauma. There's one other condition. Oh, I'll remember what it is. But even sometimes when people have like asthma, they have this issue because the breathing throws off the circulation, and they become hypoxic, and so their brain doesn't get the oxygen and blood that it should.
okay.
Oh, it's blood pressure issues.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Yeah. So if they have like real high blood pressure or the tendency for high blood pressure, part of what's happening is the circulation is off in the body, and so you're just trying to regulate. It's not to treat the blood pressure, but it's to try to get blood to the places it needs to be. Because like if you start to have really significant blood pressure issues, blood's not always getting to the organs like it should, or to the brain like it should.
okay.
Yeah.
And is this a protocol that you do multiple times a day? Or
I would do it daily, and honestly, when I personally do it, I do it at night right before bed. You
okay.
wouldn't think of camphor and rosemary about being relaxing. It knocks me out. Like it just, sometimes I fall asleep on the couch doing it and wake up to have to go to bed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank
So I wouldn't start the day with it, because it might, at first it'll knock you out. Like after you've done it several days in a row, it won't knock you out like that anymore, but you won't feel the need to do it quite as much either.
Okay.
Like once it kind of gets rolling and regulated, you'll feel kind of good. And then you can just do a little tune up whenever you start to feel the anxiety, you start to feel triggered or something like that. But had you not had the accident, I would have gone down other avenues. But because of the accident, and there was just kind of trauma on top of trauma in that situation, with
Yeah.
even what happened after the fact,
Yeah.
like that one's gonna take a little while.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I got a TBI, like a old
Yeah,
football player or something, and I
yeah,
just up in arms, and that's
yeah.
not me. So, um,
You,
okay.
you know, some of it's the frustration of the situation, and I mean, you got pretty badly injured for
Yeah.
not moving. You were just sitting in a car, and
Yeah. Yeah. And the doctor told me the other day that the whiplash is still so severe that he estimates 6 to 9 months of recovery.
yeah, I would say that for any whiplash though.
Okay.
Like I agree with him, but there are different levels and degrees, but I would say most times you don't know the full manifestation of a whiplash until a year has passed.
Okay.
Because you'll have weird things. You can have potentially blood pressure issues, which is actually kind of what we're addressing here.
Okay.
You're addressing like a circulatory kind of issue. Then there's potential like digestive issues, there's headaches and migraines. There's like usually one of the shoulders gets, knocked out of whack. Like, so it's not that one goes up, it's one starts to hang. Like, you have like a soft tissue issue that like the the girdle isn't able to like hold itself like normal.
Okay.
It doesn't always happen, but I mean 80 or 90% of the time. But we put things in play to try to minimize all that right off the bat.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I would say, I mean, he's speaking, I'm sure, from experience, like 6-9 months, like you really kind of just watch it for a while.
Yeah.
You know, like my rule of thumb back in the day was we treated it for 18 months, you know, regardless of how good or bad they were doing. Usually that last 9 months didn't take very much treatment, but we still just kept checking in and making sure so that 5 years down the line, there wasn't another issue. And then depending on what direction they got hit, you know, we'd evaluate like the hips and things like that. For you, you don't have to worry about that part. Because
Okay.
that's more when you slam into something and
Right.
you're driving, you know, it's from, you know, slamming on the brake and then the
Okay.
impact.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, hearing 18 months is a little shocking, but at the same time, that makes me appreciate the 6 to 9.
yeah. And the second like 9 months is more of precaution rather than necessity.
Okay.
Like you just kind of watch it for a little while. Like you just like, okay, you know, like I just came out of the ocean, I'm cold and I'm shivering. I got to warm my body up for a while. It's
Okay.
like that, but bigger scale. Like you just, you know, you shook off something big and, you know, really pay attention to that base of the skull and just keep unwinding that.
Yeah.
And which we're actually going to do that as the protocol tonight.
Oh, wonderful.
And so I'm such a big fan of treating that base of the skull area, but part of it is because of all the whiplashes, you know, whiplash, headaches, neck issues, and even opening up the respiratory tract and the lungs. All of it is tied to that. And so when I was doing therapy in person all the time, I mean, regardless of what they came in for, I always, every session, checked that spot. Might only be 2 minutes, but every session I checked it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Last question. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So I have this sensitive patch of skin right beneath my eye. And I have one special lotion. It's like an avocado based lotion that
Mhm.
is the only thing that my eye will tolerate. And
Okay.
I don't know what I did. Maybe I had some, something on my fingers or whatever when I touched it. But now I've got this dry, flaky, like psoriasis looking patch
Okay.
right under my eye. Is there anything I can?
So I would say a couple of things, you know, like treating that like eczema or something like that could
Yeah.
be good. Like how long has this been going on though?
4 days.
Okay, so it's been very, very recent.
Yeah, it's recent. It's
As weird
happened
as it
before.
sounds, it's probably still from the accident,
Oh
you
my
know, as
gosh.
weird as it sounds. Because the thing that happens is, you know, we injure the neck and we think of the motor nerves and the sensory nerves, but there can be some cranial nerves that potentially just get compressed.
Uh-huh.
And like sometimes what happens is when there's a moderate amount of pressure on a nerve, it gets excited. Like it starts to, like, you know, those twitches you get in your eye and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a moderate amount of pressure on a nerve that's exciting that area. Then when you get an area with more than moderate amount of pressure, it makes certain areas go to sleep. And, you know, you're probably dealing with a little bit of a compression somewhere where it's causing the skin to not quite function as well. And the nerve, like you said, can be extra sensitive or even become numb. And so most likely it will resolve itself with treatment of the other things.
Okay.
But what I would use right off the bat is, and it's probably not going to be an immediate like, oh, I find relief the first application, but I would use some spikenard on that. And
Oh.
spikenard does it does some things where it helps to regulate the skin. It helps to calm and soothe the nerves. It's, in this particular case, it would be calming to the sensory nerve. Usually I'd use something like vetiver or sage. But here, because there is a skin issue, like I'd switch gears and do the spikenard. And it can help with eczema, even with psoriasis. But part of the thing with like a whiplash type injury is there's different kinds of like spasms. You know, you have like cramps and you have spasms and you have tension. Well, there's this thing called contractures, and contractures usually don't have a neurological reason to be present. You know, it's not like a muscles not getting blood or the nerve flow or, you know, whatever. It's usually because of an injury. It's because of a mechanical overload, from a muscle imbalance, from you know, a structural misalignment. It's usually more along those lines. And your best bet in treating those are vetiver, or excuse me, valerian and spikenard. Spikenard is much better for the skin than valerian. And so I would just go spikenard. So you get the skin, you get the thing that it does to the nerve. It would help with the contracture. And if there's a muscle imbalance or a structural overload with whatever's going on, it would actually help that. So it hits about 4 or 5 things that potentially could be causing that without it having to be rotated through a bunch of different oils to see what's going to work. Like that kind of shotguns, like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 things that potentially could be a problem. And it's pretty gentle on the skin. So should be well tolerated.
Okay, just put it on pure.
You could put it in the avocado oil, just like a little drop in the avocado oil, and rub it on. You could take a little tiny bit neat, like a drop, and rub it between your fingers and just kind of smear it on the area.
Okay.
You know, experiment to see what works best for you, but any version of that should be okay.
Okay, thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much. I'm full of gratitude. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And keep me posted, you know.
Okay, all
I
right.
hope all the legal stuff's going okay, you know. We don't have to go into that, but you know, it sounded like it was a little bit of a nightmare. So I hope it's all going
Yeah,
better.
it's gonna be a saga.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Unfortunate, but I hear you.
And then go ahead, Brenda, then Kadeen.
Hey, Brenda.
Hi,
Hey.
I've been listening very closely to what you've been sharing, and I think maybe some of those things apply to me. I'm not sure.
What happened? Like, what's going on?
I've got heart palpitations. I've got some kind of arrhythmia going on, blood pressure. It goes up and down.
Like it will spike and then kind of regulate?
It spikes and then I go see the doctor and then it regulates. And so they say nothing going on.
Yeah. You've got a little gnome in you too that's like messing with things to, yeah.
Well,
And usually it's the opposite. Usually it spikes when you go to the doctor, and so I'm curious, do they have you on meds?
no, they are gonna schedule me they have me scheduled for an echogram.
Okay.
And my dad, I think sometimes messes with me. He's trying to get me to connect with him. He's 92 and he's really going downhill. And
Okay.
so I keep trying to set boundaries on him.
Mhm.
I don't talk to him. But I think sometimes that messes with me. He's hanging on. He wants me to contact him.
Does it make you feel like guilty or upset or angry or
It scares me.
scares you?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I would do. Like When your blood pressure spikes, do you know how high it gets?
Yeah, it's gotten up to 151/90. You know, it's not like one provider said, oh, we don't worry about it until it's 200 over something. And I'm like, well, I feel under pressure. My chest hurts, my head's spinning.
Yeah. Um, and I would say, like, anytime you have like a circulatory issue, it does make you more susceptible to other people's emotions and, you know, the things they say. It does make you more susceptible to it because the circulation's off.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds weird, but it really, if you look at how the brain works, it's not that crazy. And so I would do a variation for you. And I would actually add something that is not an essential oil. It's something you should be able to get at probably your local health food store, but let me walk you through it. So
Okay.
I
But you gave
actually,
me, you just tell you what you gave me before,
Sure.
marjoram and sage on my wrist,
okay,
and then the Lang body.
the body tonic. Okay,
Yes.
good. So how's the body tonic treating you? I'm curious.
Sometimes I don't want to put it on. Actually, I want to just breathe from the direct bottle of Lang
Okay,
that I have. It feels, I don't know how to describe it. It feels like too much to put it all over.
okay. Well, let's have you do that. Like, you can just inhale it from the bottle sometimes. And
Okay.
instead of putting it all over your body, maybe just put a little bit on the abdomen. You know, so
Okay.
it's not right on the chest, it's down on the abdomen. You inhale it a little bit, but you don't have to put it on your whole body.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's have you do that. Do you happen to have camphor?
No.
Do you have vetiver?
Yes.
So let's have you do the thing with the arms and legs, like we were talking about just a minute ago with the vetiver, you know, so go through the joints of the arms and the legs
Okay.
and unwind that. And again, we're going to post the pattern in the newsletter tonight. Like, I've already shot the notes over to Samantha for that. So it will even be in the notes for you.
Okay.
It's in the clinical corner section.
All right.
So do that. And then, you know, I would say, let's have you, you can inhale the Lang, like maybe daily. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to put the body tonic on every day. You know, you can kind of do it when you feel,
Okay.
but there would be another supplement that I would have you use.
All right.
And it's this non-essential amino acid called what is it? L-citrulline. Like it's like L-CITRU, like LENE, something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, we'll find it and post it for you.
Okay.
And you know, they use it for a lot of different things, but it has this interesting quality where it relaxes your blood vessels. You know,
Okay.
it relaxes the veins. And it's hard to do that with a lot of like herbs and oils. There's so many different things you can relax, but the veins, it's kind of hard one to hit. And
Mhm.
so you know, we've been really trying to do a bunch of R&D with like what's like a kind of almost a foolproof way to treat blood pressure. Like, if we could just provide a template of like, do these, you know, handful of things to treat a lot of different kinds of blood pressure, to either augment somebody's medication or help them to reduce their medication, whatever it might be. And you know, Gotu Kola kind of does that, but I'm liking what's happening with this L-citrulline, I think is how you say it. It consistently will drop the blood pressure. I've seen it drop it as little as like 12 to 15 points, but I've seen it also drop somebody's blood pressure 30 points.
Wow.
You know, like that is substantial. Now, it only works if you have the vein issue. Like if you don't have the vein issue, it kind of doesn't work.
I
But
do think that's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
I
vein
think
and
a lot of
arterial.
blood pressure is like tension in the veins.
Yes.
I really do.
Okay,
Combined with cardiac fatigue. And so the Lang-Lang's hitting the cardiac fatigue.
okay.
And you're opening up and regulating the arms and legs.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not so much concerned about you getting the blood to the head. I would just say treat the cardiac fatigue
Okay,
and you know, treat the veins. And I think some of that will regulate. Yeah. And then the byproduct is it makes you less susceptible to the triggering that comes from other people's stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
And should I continue the marjoram and the sage on the wrist or not?
Those are both good. Sage is very good for brain fatigue, and marjoram. Why did we have you doing the marjoram? I'm curious. I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah. Marjoram is very good for a lot of different things. It does transmute lower emotions and things. It does decrease the like body tension and the tendency to cramp and things like this. Very activating to the heart. I would say probably keep using it, given all the things that you have going on. Definitely the sage. If you wanted to drop one of them, I'd probably drop the marjoram,
Okay,
but definitely keep up with the sage.
and I have the Spanish sage.
Yeah, in any of them would work.
Any
Yeah,
of them works.
yeah,
Okay. And you said there was a gnome in there? Anything to do with that?
No, I'm just joking that,
Oh,
like, you
you're
know, you go
joking.
how you go to the you go to the doctor, your blood pressure is high, and you get to the doctor. It's just like going to the auto mechanic, and you're like, it makes this noise, except when I'm here. You know, it's that same thing that, you know, you got some little gnome, mischievous gnome, like, you know, who knows why that stuff happens. It's kind of hysterical, but it happens a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Anything around protection?
actually, the working the arms and legs and the cardiac fatigue is very strengthening for protection.
Okay,
And so, I mean, it's, you know, it's a more involved version of it is in the protection class coming up. It is, you could say cardiovascular function is taps into more of the mystical side of the protective quality, which is diminishing your reaction, the tendency to be triggered. It's calming and soothing. It calms down the brain and the reactiveness in the brain. And it makes it harder for somebody to hook into you.
okay. I need that.
Yeah, we all need it.
Yeah.
Like you know, preparing for this class, I started doubling down on treating some of this stuff. And you know, because I rotate and I do my little routines, but then I do, you know, if we have a class coming up, I was like, I'm gonna do the class too, you know. And I start doing it. I was like, oh my God, this was so good. Why haven't I been doing this for the last several months?
Mm,
And you know, at least for me, I get so wound up on the nervous system and endocrine function and, you know, lymphatic system, but that's also tied to cardiovascular system as well, that I forget how impactful the physical heart is to psychological things. You know, I forget. And you know, preparing for this class, I was going through and doing some of these protocols, and I was like, oh God, forget how much that it can contribute to things like anxiety and being triggered and almost like being afraid of other people a little bit.
mhm.
You know, not necessarily consciously, but it's almost like, oh, I don't want to interact with them because I don't know what's going to happen, and you know, they're going to make me do something, or I'm going to feel bad. You know, it's like it's just those weird things that we all have with like family or whatever. And
Well, it
you
sounds
know,
like I need to take the class too, so. we'll
yeah,
plan it.
some of it is in the blood. You know,
Okay.
if you get blood into places, it's a different kind of regeneration than what we do with some of the things with the nervous system, but it's it's it contributes to more things than we realize.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Kadeen, then Channing.
Hey, Kadeem.
Hey Greg, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How's life out there?
Good, good. It's good. Yeah. I've been
And I saw some pictures of the smoke coming down out there on the East Coast. Like it was like orange. It was the bizarrest thing. I hope you weren't in the middle of all that.
my gosh, insane.
Yeah, it looked insane. It looked
Yeah.
like it was like an apocalyptic movie that was being shot, you know?
For sure. I'm like, oh, it's happening. It's
Yeah,
happening.
no
Oh,
joke.
yeah, so yeah. No, thank you for always offering this and being so generous.
Oh, my pleasure.
I guess for me, I would say I'm looking more in regards to like more, I guess, prosperity, financial healing. I feel like I've
Sure.
done the Kira Shakti, I've done the genies, I've done cleaning blockages. I feel like I've done all these things, and I'm like, what is it that I'm missing? Because I still feel
So,
like,
so tell me how things are going and what kind of problems kind of arise.
I would say it's a mixture of different things. So I know that it could be the fact where it's like, oh, this potential opportunity might come up or I might get close to something, and then all of a sudden it goes away. So for example, I had an opportunity to do some work, like choreographing some stuff for Lady Gaga. Like I got really close, like the last round,
Mhm.
it, like went away. There's like other stuff, like I might have certain gigs that I might do in regards to arts or wellness-based things, and then it might be there, and then all of a sudden the organization runs out of money, then it goes away. I know, for example, like in May was quite interesting because there were a few other things that were like things were promised to me, like certain gigs. Yeah, we're gonna give you some extra money. We have this, we have that, and nothing came in. I actually in May even moved from the place I was at and was expecting to get my security deposit back, but the landlord pretty much said no and gave all these reasons as to why they did not, which I was like, this doesn't make sense. I could sue you, but we're not going to pursue this. So I'm like, I feel like there's, I don't know, something else that maybe
Mhm.
some things from happening. So I'm curious as to what that could be.
Well, I mean, some of what you're explaining is just, it's a chaotic thing out there in the world, but still being able to put yourself in the right place at the right time, I think is what you're shooting for.
Right.
Let me just think this out for a second here.
Thank you.
Okay, so so there's like different in this realm, there's different things that can happen or processes. And it's not like, oh, we do one or we do the other. Some we do really well, but there is a few that is harder for everybody, right? And sometimes when you get good at it, you get kind of to be like, hey, I'm the go-to guy in this situation because it's a skill set that very few people have. But a lot of times we're reacting to, like you said, like there's opportunities, there's situations, there's things going on, and you're kind of reacting to it. You know, that's the way most people would generate prosperity. Like there has to be opportunities to be able to generate something. A deeper level is bringing something forth, like bringing something forth from the inner world. So there's two pieces to that, and they're a little bit more difficult to treat, but if you get good at treating it, it becomes like a thing where you can really kind of make things happen even when it doesn't look like it's going to happen, right? And I think that's kind of what you're looking for. Like, because you have all these opportunities, yes, there's competition, but somebody has to get chosen, somebody has to win. Why not it be you, right? And so there's this aspect of you're bringing something forth from the inner world. And, you know, some of it's tied to the crown and the forehead, but the big piece is the ajna between the eyebrows.
Okay.
And the lower nature, our physiology, our lower emotions kind of resist that because it's very displacing to the things we already have in motion or the order that we've already established. So if you are able to do that, right, even if you bring it forth, it's this weird thing where you almost generate a kind of trauma. And it's not like, oh, this person did this and hurt my feelings or hit me or took something away. It's you're bringing something forth and you're kind of rearranging the order and the things that you have going, your perceptions, to the point where your physiology almost feels like it takes a little bit of a punch. Not that you get disoriented, but it's you're changing the perception of your physiology of the lower emotions, the lower mind. And it's a little bit traumatizing because it's not what it thought was going to happen. And so usually what I do to treat this is you can, if you have some saffron, like putting saffron here is helpful for that. If you don't have saffron, ambret actually works just as well. If you don't have that, sandalwood can be a replacement. Like, you know, and just every day you would put some there. But what's going to happen is the basic chakra is going to be impacted by the trauma. So I would use something like helichrysum and or do healing on the basic, but specific to trauma. But I'd almost do it like daily, like just because you're trying to bring these things forth that are not just reactions to opportunities, but you're trying to make something happen that maybe is not even there. And so I already see you have some trauma in your basic already, which means you're already kind of in process of doing this. I would just say, if you engage this, it will make the trauma worse. And so if you clean it up, you just kind of like bring it in, clean it up, reboot, bring it in, clean it up, reboot. And it just becomes like drinking a glass of water. Like it just becomes like this non-reactive like thing that you can do. And so I would put something here every day. And if you're thinking about a process, whatever oil that you're using here, think of your projects and inhale with your awareness there. Like first think of the project, then go to the ajna, and then think of your project, then go to the ajna, and just keep going back and forth, right? And then at some point, I mean, if you want to make it stronger, do the ajna, the back head, and then the sides of your head. But at first, maybe just the ajna. And then after that, inhale the helichrysum on the basic chakra for like maybe 25 inhalations. And then I'd call that good.
Got it.
If you want to do a deep cleanse of the basic chakra for the trauma, it's the arms and legs and the organs of blood purification are one of the ways that you make the basic chakra like more flexible. Or if the basic chakra is getting really backed up, you look at the arms and the legs and the organs of blood purification. They're all extensions of the basic chakra. So like when you really want to slip something into the basic chakra, you open up the arms and legs, you open up the organs of blood purification, and it just kind of drops in. And so you could do those spots as well with the helichrysum. You could also do it with healing though.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I guess with healing, you would just
Electric violet. Form the intention of trauma, clean all those same spots with electric violet. Yeah.
okay. Even the basic with the electric violet too?
Yeah, you don't want to do it very much there, but you do need to clean off trauma. So the way that I do it there is I go back and forth between green, electric violet, green, electric violet, green, electric violet. You don't want to do it too much because you can overactivate Kundalini energy that way, but you just got to scrape that trauma off real quick. Like it will probably take you 30 or 45 seconds. Like it won't be very long.
Got it. Okay.
I like to use the helichrysm just because it's a bit more stable and I feel like I can go deeper. But
Right.
if you're doing it with energy work as well,
Mhm.
you know, might as well, know both ways.
Right. Got it. Okay. Thank you so
And
much.
didn't you get some bowls like the singing bowls?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did.
So you could tone the bowl, and then after it makes the sound, just keep your awareness on the basic chakra. It'll just flush it right out. Like the
Okay.
thing with the bells and the bowls, it's for flushing things out.
Got it. Great.
Yeah,
Great.
do that, be it spinning or tapping it, get some sound going, stop, close your eyes, put your awareness on the basic, and you don't even have to visualize anything in particular. Just keep your awareness on the basic. It will move, it will happen.
Got it. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Let me know how that goes.
I will. I will. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then go ahead, Shannon, then Sarah.
Hey, Jenny.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Sam.
Hey.
Well, first of all, I'm still absorbing and digesting all that goodness you just shared.
Oh, you're so sweet.
That was really wonderful. So, my question actually has to do with sulfur.
Okay.
And I have the Lovage sulfur or the Lovage body tonic, and I think it has sulfur in it. But my question is,
MSM, yeah, which is a kind of sulfur.
okay, so
Yeah.
I just discovered, I discovered sulfur in the form of a crystal, and when I saw it, I thought it was a lab grown piece because it was just so bright lemony yellow.
Oh yeah, they're super bright.
That
Yeah.
it looked so bright that I thought it was candy. And then the next thing is I scanned to see if it was actually fake or if it was real.
Mhm.
And it's definitely real. And it looks like this big cluster, and the points
Yeah.
are super sharp, and it looks
Yeah.
like Big Bird's head, like, like Big Bird's bright yellow. And I was really delighted. And when I asked what it was, she said it was sulfur, and I didn't even know that sulfur could exist.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
I wanted to ask you more about that using sulfur in our body tonics. And it's going to sound strange, but I'm curious why I'm attracted to this.
Well, MSM, which is a type of sulfur, is something that is very cleansing to the body, but especially the joints, and it can break up things like scar tissue internally. So, we always talk about scar tissue like a cut or something on the skin, but sometimes we get fascial lesions in the like the fascia that hold up the organs or deeper close to the bone. Maybe some internal scarring that happened, or a lesion that happened from mechanical misalignments and things. And so MSM is actually a great way to do that. It is very detoxifying to the joints. And so we use it like in the Lovage body tonic, and I put it in the orange healer body tonic, because it deepens the purification that it does to the tissues and to the joints. And so I would say for the body, you use it for things like arthritis, for an injury, for fascial lesions, internal scarring, things of this nature. But like most times they use it for like arthritic conditions because it's so cleansing to the joints and to the tissues. Then if you look at it from the point of view of like using a crystal or a stone, it's very cleansing to the area, wherever you have it. And part of what sulfur does is, as a mineral, it condenses light. Like, so even if there's light in a particular area and you stick some, crystalline sulfur in the area, the light that's coming in the area gets significantly more dense, right? So then that light is more efficient in whatever you're trying to use it for. And so you could put it on an altar, you could put it on an area that needed to be cleaned up. You could just put it through different places in the house, but just think of it as like it condenses the light and it increases the purification, because the light coming in is purifying to the lower vibrational energies that are in a particular area. And so in I don't know, I don't want to say ancient times, because it was just like maybe even at the turn of the century, part of what you wanted to do, like if there was a space that had like a bad situation happen, or like a bad event, a crime, bad injury, or just bad things have happened, or the house was haunted, you would get a big hunk of sulfur, you would like put it on a stick or in a pan, and you would light that baby on fire, and it would purify the house. The house would smell like sulfur, but it would clean the house. And so, back in the turn of the century, this is how they would deal with houses that they considered to be real haunted. Like when they had the, when people, what did they used to call those places where they weren't psych wards, but in the old days they called them something different. But it's like when people were so crazy that they would just send them somewhere.
Asylum.
Yeah, asylums. They used to burn this in asylums. Like when the asylum would shut down, people would go in, and it's like just weird, chaotic things would happen. And they're like, this land is not, this building is not usable. They would take a piece of sulfur and they would burn it, and all of a sudden it just became calm. And so, back in my old feng shui days, I did burn some sulfur in a few people's houses. Let's just say it didn't go over well, because it stinks. And so I would burn a lot of incense afterwards. But when the house really needed to be cleaned up and like patterns broke in the house, sulfur worked, burning it like that. And I used to have a big collection of sulfur that was just for burning.
Was it
Using
yellow?
crystals? Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's not as bright as the stuff that you're talking about, but I have a bunch of little pieces that are like what you're talking about, that I used to wear them in a medicine bag on my heart, just to intensify the light coming into the heart. But I don't know, I got off of it for a while. But any time you kind of scatter the sulfur in a particular area, you don't even have to leave it there for like super long periods of time. The light just starts coming in. And so say you're at work and you had a thing going on and there was an argument, and everybody goes off to their office cubicles, and you're like, but I'm still sitting in the cubicle where we all had the argument. You drop the sulfur there, and like within an hour or two, you can't even feel it anymore. If there's like a house where I'll use this one example. So like I was feng shuiing this house and was on this is many years ago. It was on this beautiful, beautiful lake. It just had this amazing view. The feng shui of the house was horrible, but they got hooked in by the view, right? And so, I'm walking around the house and I'm evaluating it, and I'm talking to the wife and everything. And as I'm walking through the house, I'm noticing that, there's different bedrooms that look lived in, but she kept saying that it was just her and her husband. And I go, well, do you guys have kids? And they go, yeah, but they're off at college. And I go, but they're back or something? Because it looked lived in. And she's like, no. And so I kept asking questions, and she goes, yeah, it was really weird. My husband and I, we sleep in separate bedrooms. And I was like, And I go, he snores? And she goes, no. And I go, you guys been fighting? And she's like, no. She goes, it was really weird. One night we were watching a movie and we just got up and went to separate bedrooms. And I go, well, when you guys discussed it, what was the discussion? She goes, we never have discussed it. I go, well, how long has it been going on? And she goes, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I was like, you guys have been sleeping in separate bedrooms for 3 or 4 years and you never discussed it? And she goes, no. And I'm thinking, I was like, that's odd. I mean, things can happen, but like, that's odd. And then she goes, the really weird thing is the people that we bought the house from, they slept in separate bedrooms as well. And I was like, really? So I go, same bedrooms? And they go, yeah. And I was like, huh, okay. And she goes, come to think of it, the people they bought it from, they mentioned that they slept in separate bedrooms as well. So it wasn't that there was some big diabolical thing. There was an energy pattern in the house. And it's like, if you've ever driven in snow and you're trying to go in some of the snow where it's maybe a little bit fresh, and then you get hooked into the track, and then whatever that person did, you're doing now, right? And if they spun out a little bit, you're going to spin out a little bit too, because you're in the track, right? So what happened was there was this pattern in the house that was very ingrained. I suspect that the first couple that did it, it was really emotionally charged why they did it. They were probably fighting or something like that. And then everybody else just kind of did it. And so, I do my like little fire burn, and I do the incense, and I'm spraying oils. And she goes, it got better. We slept together 1 night or 2 nights, but then we went back, and I was like, what's it going to take? Because I mean, doing a fire burn is massive. Like that usually breaks things up. So the thing that I did is I took a couple of handfuls of sulfur, I just, all the different rooms in the house, and boom, they started sleeping in the same bedroom within a night or two. And I just left them there for like a month and completely broke the pattern.
Did you
You know?
burn the
No,
sulfur? You just threw it.
I was about to, like, honestly, to be honest with you, I was thinking we're going to have to burn it. Like, I was prepping them like, it's going to stink. You'll get over it. We'll do some things with oils and things to cover up the smell. But first, let's try this. I just thought we'll exhaust everything before I turn the house into rotten eggs. And so I had a bunch of big pieces though. Scattered them through the house. It worked like a charm. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible, because I'm reading about the sulfur, the energetic properties, and it says exactly what you did, but it also talks about breaking down patterns within one's like mental and emotional
Oh yeah, I would agree.
aspects as well,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
This
It's
kind of like a hidden
very
gem.
it's very purifying. Back in the old days when we would talk about doing these inner practices and things, we use sulfur a lot, but it's kind of like what you said. It was a different time back then. Like, this is going to sound weird, but people are more overstimulated now than they were 30 or 40 years ago. And then change it to 100 years ago when they were really doing this practice. We didn't have the stimulation from social media and so many people. It was a different time. The brains worked a little bit different. Not massively, but a little bit. The sulfur is going to cause change, and change is already built into society. So a lot of times you're doing more like soothing, like trauma, anxiety, fear kind of stuff, rather than trying to stimulate change. Back in the day, you were trying to stimulate change because things were stagnant, and you were at the beginning of this new change or shift, this new growth. And so It's one of those things that it's like the right time, the right place. I wouldn't say that I'd throw it out to everybody to have like a piece of jewelry or to put it on the altar or anything. But if you're trying to shift something, it works like that. And meteorites, by the way, meteorites help bring about shift and change as well. And so, like in the body tonics, you're not going to hit that kind of change in the mind and the emotions. It's just causing a change in the body of like how that joint's functioning. Like it's cleaning the joint up so that the joint changes and functions better. That's about all you're kind of getting from the MSM. If there's fascial lesions on scar tissue, it helps to unwind that so that you change like your ability to like stand and have like better postural alignment, something of that nature. But if you really want to go deep into like psychological change, working with sulfur, it will get you there. I mean, like I said, I wore it in a medicine bag for a while, and then I was like, yeah, I need a break. And it's been a long, I still have those stones, but it's been a long time since I've worn them. I'm probably
That's
going to go
good.
crack those out here after this session tonight, by the way.
Oh, good. So I
Yeah.
just sent you and Sam a photo of my stone. And I
Some
walked
of
into
those crystals are amazingly beautiful. Like they're just crazy. And they're just like you said, like they look like they came off of, Big Bird. Like they're just brilliant yellow and little crystalline things. And
well, this looks like Big Bird's hair, like the top
yeah,
of his head. I just sent you and Sam a photo of it, but
nice.
I walked up to the lady at the shop yesterday and I said, please do not take what I'm about to say to you as being rude, but is this real? Like it just seems so
Yeah. Yeah.
yellow. And she
Yeah.
just laughed and she's like, it is. And she's like,
Yeah.
go ahead and smell it. If you can
Yeah.
just get close and smell it, you can
I
tell.
have how in quartz they'll have like a little cluster.
Mhm.
I have like a sulfur cluster that's about as big as my hand, and it's just got little things, like little sulfur crystalline things that comes up. It looks like it's a quartz cluster that somebody spray painted yellow.
Yeah, then you know what we might have. It sounds like I've got a twin of what you just said.
Yeah, yeah,
It's as big as my hand. It's super
yeah,
big, and then it flares.
yeah. Good for you.
By the way,
I
violet
would
heat.
use it a bunch. I would use it a bunch. So here's the other thing, like talking about like we'll just do hypotheticals. Like say you have some project at work and it's hard getting the team to jump on board, right? So one way of looking at it is if you use oils that are like more orangey in color, or like a darker orange stone, like a darker orange citrine, it stimulates enthusiasm in the people around you. It calms down the thought forms that are coming in. It helps you to be like more one pointed, and it stirs enthusiasm in the people. So like, okay, let's move this project going. But sometimes, be it that it's like people's opinions and things like this, where the project's just not moving forward. And so like when I would go in and do corporate work, they would tell me details, but I was like, let's just blast it with light and see what happens. Like the problem will come to the surface because the light is the fuel or the gasoline for movement and the evolutionary process wherever you're directing it. So having a piece of sulfur that you whip out and you put on your desk in the middle of that meeting means this is moving forward, whether we like it or not. And whatever the problem is, it'll come to the surface. We can address it.
Can I just to confirm, to work with this, I know I'm not supposed to put water on it, but can I just place it next to me?
Yeah.
Is that working with it?
Place it next to you, place it on, by your desk. You could do that, like even in a meeting. One of the things that I used to do in the meetings was I would usually use like a sphere of something and make it look like a decoration on you know how they have the meeting table in the conference room? I would
Mhm.
stick it on there, maybe stick some flowers around it or a little something. You could make some little decoration, just stick it right in the middle of the table and make it just look like it's some, you know, kitschy, like stick it by a bonsai tree or something and just stick it there and let it do its magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do that stuff all the time. You know, like have like a little pot that like you could put a little plant in and you stick a stone in and, you know, you do a little bit of energy thing, you diffuse some oils and, you know, the meeting always seemed to go where it needed to go.
Okay. By the way, Violet Healer, I think, has MSM in it as well.
I'd have to check, but it sounds accurate. Yeah.
The body tonic, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sulfur is interesting because sometimes it will put off like an orangish prana. Sometimes it will put off a yellowish prana that has like a magnifying or triggering effect, and sometimes it's a violet. It kind of depends on how you're using it and what's around it.
Are you able to tell what energy or color mine projects?
It'll do all three. Depending on how you use it, it will do all three.
Okay.
Yeah. Most times I would say it's like a kind of a yellowy kind of prana, but not the kind that comes from the basic, it comes from the crown. There's times where it's raising the vibration of an area and it's more violet. But when it's deeply, deeply purifying, it's orange.
I know the throat and the solar plexus are two energy centers I've been focusing quite a bit on in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way we all gotta work those.
Well, thank
Like,
you.
and if you're working the throat, be sure to work the back throat too.
Yep.
The back throat, the throat is more lower consciousness or lower mental. The back throat is pre-conscious, like pre-conscious mental. You know, like it's not in your brain, but if you go, what were we doing last week? And you pull it up, it's in your pre-conscious mind. And so even when we're doing that materialization breath, when we're going like this, you're working lower mind, pre-conscious mind, lower mind, pre-conscious mind. And then you're working forehead, back head, where you're cleaning up the thought forms. And so any version of that is very, very good. Yeah.
Thank you for all of that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes with your sulfur. That's quite a little treat.
Yeah, it's I sent you a photo, so you should have it in your email the next time you check.
Oh, nice.
And then go ahead, Sarah, then Ralph.
Hey, Sarah.
Let's get you unmuted.
Okay, hi there. Now I'm
Hey.
unmuted. I'm just enjoying the journey this evening because I met sulfur when I was 18 through homeopathics and had
Oh yeah, perfect.
had a really big shift there. And then I came on a little late to the call and you guys were talking about whiplash, which is one of my things. So I knew I was supposed to be here tonight, probably for the process. So my question is, when I was 18, I had a road accident where I came around a corner on a country British lane onto black ice.
Okay.
And in those days, you didn't wear a helmet, right? On a bicycle. This is just pedal bike. Literally, the whole bike went bam over to the right side. My head hit the road first, and I was out for at least 4 minutes, they say.
Okay.
A driver the other way had to come and pick me up, and I vaguely remember both our feet going everywhere, you know, because it was so slippery. The ice was so slippery. So I've been, you know, I'm the queen of dental work after that over the years. I've had a constant issue with the right side of my jaw, been working through all of it, and I'm regularly doing Pilates now, but I have this really weird TikTok thing going on with my pelvic girdle. Like sometimes at the moment, the left leg, like if I bend at the knee and try and sit in the lotus position, the left leg will not go down, it stays up. So, you know, I was listening to everything you were saying, And I'm sure this pattern will help, but if there's anything specific you can direct me to, I'll be
Okay,
most grateful.
so when you fell, you hit your head
Yeah,
and you hit your hip, you twisted your back. What else happened?
everything.
Everything. You just
Yeah, thank you for the reminder. My right eye never worked properly since, because the pupil doesn't work right, because they said I hit the road so hard, some of the jelly inside the eye actually came away and went
Yeah,
back again.
double vision at all in either eye?
No, I have good vision, but I have an astigmatism, so I don't know if that in that right eye, and so I have to have glasses. It's middle vision, like driving, is the real issue, especially at night. I lose three-dimensional perception in that right eye, so things look flat. So yeah, and I've never had it fixed, because overall, although that eye is darker than the other one, if I cover up the left eye, then the right eye is darker.
And so you have a hard time lifting the leg, like when you're sitting down in
It's
the lotus.
relaxing it, actually. It's like if I were to sit in the lotus position, my right leg is
Oh,
close.
I see. It won't relax while
Yeah.
you're in the position itself.
Right.
Gotcha.
And it's painful and uncomfortable because it feels like sciatica's moving from side to side on occasion. The Pilates has really helped because, I have more muscle definition, so that helps with everything. But
yeah. Issues with urination or anything like that?
yes,
Yeah.
just recently in the last year or so, actually.
Wow, just in the last year or two? Not way back when you had the accident?
I would probably, there's a saying in Scotland, a friend of mine said, he said, I'm just going for a wee nervous. It's like that
Yeah,
pee
yeah. Okay.
I'm always
gotcha.
that person who has to go for a little wee before I go and do something,
Okay.
just in case.
And any pain down in the groin or like the floor of the pelvis, anything like that?
It does feel a bit, sometimes my kidneys are sensitive. I'm aware of when I have to pee, but I am, I've gone through midlife now, and I'm not honestly sure what's going on with my ovaries or anything else, because I was always an over ovulator, let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes both sides in a month, so it's just
So the thing that I would want to like explore right off the bat is the muscles of the pelvic floor. And it sounds that's kind of what, I mean, the nature of the injury, like you said, you were going through a corner, you hit the black ice, you smacked, the body can twist, and I would suspect like psoas issues, maybe a diaphragm issue, things like that. But also with some of the things you're describing, there can be a little bit of a thing with pelvic floor. And, you can do things like real specific, but I don't know that you need to do that. That you went so long with it not really being a big issue. I think there was probably like, it's just like it's a muscle strain that kind of never goes away. And then over a period of time, it just kind of keeps getting just a little bit worse over a period of time. You know what I mean? And there could be some neurological issue, like a compressed disc or, something like that. But I would still just treat it straight up the way that it is. And anytime you have that kind of injury, it throws, it usually will throw your body into what you would call like a wedge pattern. And a wedge pattern is like the hip and the shoulders, like if this is the shoulder and this is the hip, most people aren't even, but like their left shoulder's up, but their left hip's up. Like, they both kind of go up. A wedge pattern is the opposite side goes up. And it causes this like havoc up up the spine and in the pelvic floor, and can cause issues like up in the base of the skull and things like this. And it puts a lot of pressure on discs in the spine, but it causes a lot of muscle imbalances. I would use a lot of spikenard, valerian, or myrrh, like on the body. And then
Okay.
the spikenard I would do on the perineum, like just inhale it into the perineum,
Okay.
which is between the sex organs and the anus, just like the floor
Yeah.
of the pelvis. And there's several trigger points that can happen down in that area, but that you've had like some slight symptoms, but not enough to like really go, you got to target these spots, these spots, these spots, because it does kind of like start to go up into the pelvis, like the things that need to be addressed. I think if you just hit the floor of the pelvis, I think that will unwind it. And you can do the breathing with the spikenard or valerian, but I would probably do like a salt bath with it from time to time, or a body tonic with it from time to time, just because those three really will balance out the muscle imbalances. And the thing is like muscles work with each other and they work against each other. So if something got inflamed and lost tone, it threw the thing that opposes it into spasm. And so it just causes this like chain reaction that goes through the body. So you see it in car accidents. It's more likely, like if somebody gets hit from the left, if they get hit from the right or from the back or from the front, that causes like kind of almost like really specific mechanical injuries where you can go like, this is the set of injuries that it's going to be, right?
Right.
But when you have somebody like where the car rolled or got hit on the corner and it spun and then it went into a ditch or something like that, it's just chaos. Like there's no predictability in the kind of injuries that you're going to get. And when you have like bicycle or motorcycle accidents like that, because you hit and you roll, or you got tangled up in the bike, or you were locked in the pedals, whatever it is, the injuries tend to be really kind of chaotic. And so you just want to start going through and balancing out the potential muscle imbalances, and you are reducing some of the contractures so that the body kind of is able to relax into like a different pattern. Muscle memory you could do with like hyssop, like just inhaling hyssop. You don't even have to direct it, but it might be too early for that. Like I think you probably got to work with like the myrrh, the spikenard. I mean, if you just did myrrh and spikenard, that would be really rock solid.
Okay, awesome.
I would say even the myrrh, I'd probably take like 3 or 4 drops internally on a daily basis. Like I
Okay.
think that will calm some of this stuff down from the inside out. You do the topical things, you do the thing on the perineum,
Yeah.
and like give it a couple weeks and then let me know where you're at, and we can definitely unwind this. The other thing, the base of the skull, like put some spikenard like on the base of the skull. That I would do daily, like several drops just from the center all the way to where it starts to get to almost behind your ear, but mostly right at the backside. Do that, and that will help unwind things even down in the hips.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because like the mechanical thing is whatever is happening in the head affects the hips, and whatever is happening in the hips affects the head.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like even if you have like a hip issue, you kind of don't want to leave the head untreated, especially because it's an injury.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might be treating the hip really well, but the pattern is still left up in the head and neck area. And even though you unwind it, it will eventually go back because you didn't like unwind it at the base of the skull.
You're describing my internal body experience over the years. It's like a tick-tocking effect.
Yeah. Oh,
you go one place and it comes out another. And
exactly.
Yeah.
It's literally, I mean, I can dig up some notes where there's different versions of the wedge pattern, but when you look at it, it's just chaos through the body. It's just chaos.
Yeah, and then I had 2 other road accidents, none of which are my fault. One, I got a fractured sternum in as well. So it's, I don't know
Wow.
what's with me and road accidents, but anyway,
That from hitting the steering wheel, or you hit the
I
ground?
was in the back seat and I was leaning forward looking out another window, and then somebody T-boned the car the other side of me, the opposite side to me. So I was thrown forward against the back seat. My foot got under the metal bar as well. So I'm like, is somebody trying to take me out? I don't know.
Right. Those are substantial injuries, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And any issue with like the sternum, or like taking a breath, or pressure on the chest? or
Not
anything
now.
like-
I did a lot of energy work on it over the years, because initially, I mean, it's extreme. Everyone has a fractured sternum. There's nothing they can do other than give
No.
you pain relief. You just have
No.
to live with it. And then burping and sneezing and coughing are horrendous
Right.
while you're going through it. But over a few years, I worked on it and I haven't had any problems. You know, the pain was there. I knew exactly where it had broken because I could feel it, but then the pain left. So I think overall it's pretty good.
Even, how we're talking about the spikenard and the myrrh,
Mhm.
you want to do your whole body, but
Yeah.
I do a little extra on the chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hooray. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so
Super
welcome.
helpful.
And keep me posted. I'm very curious about this.
Yes, I will do. Thank you.
And then go ahead, Ralph, and then we'll do our practice.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I had originally called with one question and I've got 5.
Oh, great.
Anyway, you had suggested nettle caps or stinging nettle caps for me for calcium, or a natural form of calcium.
Oh, yeah.
Are those best taken in the evening or in the morning?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to be extra fancy, just maybe take them with like kind of warm water. But honestly, that's the old school thing to say about, taking them.
Yeah.
I've done it both ways. I can't tell a difference,
Okay.
so I would just take them with whatever,
Okay. Number 2, sulfur. We have a somewhat haunted house in the family.
Ooh,
Can we use, so is this sulfur crystals or can we use sulfur powder?
yeah, like, boy.
And what I was
wonder if
thinking
can
of
find the
doing,
source. I wonder if I can find the source where I used to buy it.
well,
you-
I've looked on the web. There's a couple of places where I can get sulfur mineral crystals, like specimens. Small
Yeah,
specimen
those
size
probably a little too.
Bless
A
you.
little too expensive and might not burn. Like these were just like almost like
they-
crude. You know what you can probably find
Do these need
is
to be burnt
sulfur
or
powder.
do
Like
these
fine
need to be
sulfur
burnt or
powder.
can I just put these crystals in the room for like a month?
Oh yeah, do that.
Okay.
Do that. Play Om and diffuse camphor in the house,
Mhm.
unless it's something extra nasty.
Okay.
It'll take care of it.
Okay.
Most times it's not nasty. Most
And
times
then-
it's just like patterns in the house. And
Okay. And so, yeah, I suspect it's patterns from the previous owners knowing the people who were there. Okay.
I've
like
got
you're not
spikenard.
aware of anything like really nasty happening in the house before you guys got it or anything?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, then clean up like way we talked. Yeah.
Okay. So play Om on the,
Play Om or just
And-
sit and like, how like you would bless the earth, just
Yeah.
visualize the house and just
Mm.
chant Om a whole bunch of times with your awareness on the blue pearl.
okay. And then it was diffuse camphor.
Camphor, yeah. You can diffuse camphor. You could put camphor in those big spray bottles that pump
Yeah.
like this. You put a bunch of camphor in that with some holy water and just walk around.
I know they've got a
Just-
diffuser, so I'm going to suggest that.
Yeah, you could either way.
Okay. And then from our last visitor, she talked about falling off her bicycle.
Mhm.
Could you take a quick look at me and tell me if I've got whiplash symptoms from passing out and bashing my face last summer?
The base of your skull is could use a little work.
Okay,
It's not horrible, but it could use some work.
okay.
Um,
And that's with the helichrysum?
you could use helichrysum, you could use vetiver, you could use terebinth. You could even use things like cedar. I mean,
Okay,
cedar does something a little bit different. You're starting to do something that's more about the vagus nerve than that spot, but there you just want to relax the fascia. So
okay.
even if you didn't have any of those, vetiver would be my first choice.
Okay,
The
I've got some,
spikenard would be a very, very close second.
yeah, I've got some
Um,
vetiver in sesame oil. I'll use
Perfect.
that.
Just rub it up in those spots.
Okay,
Just do it every day for like a couple weeks. It'll probably be all it needs.
okay.
A
Okay,
little bit in the shoulders, like right here too. Like
okay.
I would balance them out, but
Mhm.
the right one, your right one is depleted and your left one is congested.
Yeah, well, I landed on my right side.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks.
And so when you landed, you landed like this, or do you landed like this?
I think I landed with on the shoulder blade, on the shoulder itself.
Okay. Okay. That's actually the better way to fall. So
Oh, okay.
good for you. Treat the shoulder blade and like that area between the shoulder blade and the
Mhm.
armpit on the
Yeah.
back side. You know, it's like Terry's major, Terry's minor.
Yeah.
I just treat those. You could use the same oils.
Okay. Cool.
Are you
Thank you.
having any other symptoms or anything like that?
Mm. Well, I've been plowing along okay, so I don't
Okay.
know. So, but
And
you
no
know,
jaw issue or anything like that?
well, it bent the shit out of my lower jaw, and I've been having almost constant dental work trying to get my teeth straightened out to where I can chew and bite straight.
Okay.
But otherwise, other than that, not that's been obvious.
Um, you know, it makes me want to like have you like do a drop or two of vetiver or spikenard and water and like swish it around your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put that off for a little bit, but we might come back around that again.
Okay. I'll keep you
Yeah.
posted as that's going.
You know, ideally, like it would be hard to talk you through it, but I mean, we could try. I have like a skeleton and a skull that I could probably show you on, but ideally you would put like a little bit of spikenard or vetiver, and then you would go like back further than where the jaw hinges.
Mm-hmm.
There's this big muscle there, the lateral pterygoid,
Mm-hmm.
and you would just gently rub the oil up and down that. And even when you put about the weight of a nickel of pressure on that muscle, it almost like starts to burn because
Okay.
it's so tight. And I feel like you could use like some work like that, but if you're getting a bunch of dental work done, I'd almost let it get done and then do it after the fact.
Okay. So
You know,
touch,
because you're going to unwind it, and then having the dental work, you're just going to open it up and it's just going to do it again.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
so I'm gonna, what I'm looking for is the muscle that's behind where the jaw hinge is.
Yeah, I mean, I can send you a picture, but it might be easier for me to show you like on a skeleton, like on a skull. You know, I have those plastic skulls.
I
where-
can, yeah, I can, I'm putting my finger in my mouth and I can pretty much tell where you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like it's a long, like it goes from the top down to the bottom, and when you touch it, it burns.
Okay.
Like, you know, you just like the weight of a nickel or a little bit more, and it's just like, ugh.
Okay.
Like I was doing that on my mom one time. You know, she had hurt her, I don't know, neck or jaw, and so I was working it, and she was like, "Oh, that doesn't feel good." And after about 2 times, she was like, "I'm your mother." Like it was like that intense, where she was like, "You don't get to do that to me anymore." And so, you know,
Okay.
it's that uncomfortable, but
Mhm.
it will change how your face feels. Like it will change your jaw and your face substantially.
Okay. And that's
Yeah.
on both sides?
But I would do it on both sides, but my guess is the side where you had the collision probably is a little worse than the other side.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Good. Thank you.
you're so welcome.
And just really quick, back to the sulfur, then we'll do the practice.
Mhm.
How do you clean the sulfur cluster?
You chant Om over it. Like, you don't want to soak it in salt water just because the sulfur will break down in the water. So just kind of hold it like, you know, like that, and then Om, Om, Om. You know, do some version of that. Yeah. Yeah. You could also burn incense and smudge it, like sage or incense. You can do it that way as well.
Great questions today,
Yeah.
guys. And now let's get to a practice.
And what did I say we were going to do? I had it all in my head, but it's right here. Yeah, we were going to do the base of the skull. So let's have you scramble around and find like vetiver, spikenard, helichrysum, terebinth, cedar if you don't have it. Wait, just- If he has marjoram. Yeah, and if he doesn't have marjoram, we'll come up with something else. Amusement. Okay, so you're going to take some of the oil, like put it in your hand, If it's one of the thicker oils, you might want to take the reducer cap out. Let me pull something out here. Like so, the reducer cap, if you just take your thumbnail and get underneath it, it'll just pop right out. And then you can do like a, with it, like, you know, you do like that, and then you can put it up on the area. Right, so cover from the center along the baseline, like if you can dig in and find the base of your skull. And you're going both directions. Yeah, it feels good. And then once you do that, also hit that point where your neck and shoulder kind of come together. You know, it's a tender spot, like right here, like on both sides. It's like that spot that I was telling Ralph where there was depletion and congestion. Yeah. Yeah, how does that feel for you? Feels so good, yeah. This could be a every once in a while kind of thing for you. It could be a daily thing. It could be just when you feel like tension in your neck and shoulders, but again, it helps with headaches and migraines, neck and upper back pain, reduced range of motion, postural imbalances, nerve compression and irritation, especially in the neck and upper back. And it will impair circulation and lymphatic flow when it's off. It also will impact the autonomic nervous system. Like it will throw the parasympathetic activity off when it's extremely tight. And so you've hit your spots. Now begin inhaling, and your awareness is in that area right at the base of your skull. Like on the backside, just take long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on that spot. This would be especially good for Ralph with like he's got some, you know, some jaw stuff from dental work and an accident, and Susan with the accident, and who else? I think it was Shrad Nanda. We were talking about doing this. So, somebody, yeah. Yeah. And you know, you can do the base of the skull like we're doing, but even start to feel like about that high up onto the skull itself, and just see if that brings you some sort of relief. So go up a little bit higher onto the skull and just inhale, exhale, and just see what you notice. Relaxing. And then just be still. Just be still for a second. Begin inhaling again. The base of the skull, explore those areas at the base of the skull. Long, slow, deep breaths. And then just be still. Go to the tops of the shoulders, where the neck and shoulder meets that tender spot on each side. Inhale into that area. And then just be still. Now, you're not inhaling, but explore your body. Where do you feel a tension? Where do you feel a heaviness? Like a little kink or a little agitation? Wherever that is, observe it. Wherever you feel that in the body, and begin inhaling. And then just be still. Now there's some areas that if you want to unwind, like imbalances, postural imbalances and things, there's certain areas to hit, right? So we're not going to hit all of them tonight, but let's hit some ones. These are ones we've done before, but let's put it all together. So go to the heels of your feet, like each heel, the entire bottom and the sides of that heel. Take long, slow, deep breaths. Keep your awareness on the heels. Now go along the shins. Like if the bone of the lower leg, it's the outer part of where the bone is, the muscle that runs along the side of it, put your awareness there from below the knee to about the ankle area. Long, slow, deep breaths. And now move to the inner thighs. You're working your adductor muscles, but from the knee up into the floor of the pelvis, your inner thighs. Now move your awareness to the area that's between your belly button and the top part of your hip bones, you know, where the belt line is. Even if you wear your belt line higher, you know, that part just across your hips there, that lower abdominal area, and then the lower back area. So it would be back of the navel down to your tail, you know, the sacrum, or your navel down to the belt line. Explore that area. Go in deeper towards the spine. Wherever you feel tension, just inhale into that area. Now your awareness is on your whole spine, from the bottom of your spine all the way up into the neck. Just pause and be still for a moment. Your awareness is on the shoulder blades themselves. Inhale with your awareness on the shoulder blades. And then go to the base of your skull. The area where we started. Inhale with your awareness on the base of the skull. How's that? Roma yoga. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways of unwinding patterns in the body, different from your nervous system, your immune system, your lymphatic system, just going deep on the connective tissue and the fascia in the body. It can make dramatic shifts in the body. I mean, just ease tensions that sometimes you didn't even know was there. I was looking for that. Let's make sure we have Susan's email, and I'll get her a picture of that wedge pattern. But I'll get those pictures and I'll start presenting them in classes when I'm talking. Yeah. So thanks for joining us tonight, you guys. I hope everybody feels good with what we did. And we still have our Wednesday night class, master healing techniques, and where we talk theory and do little experiments. And, on the start class, we have 2 little short classes. I am going to start talking about stones, actually. And we've had several people ask things, so I thought I'll just work it into a little bit of our weekly lecture. So anyway, for those in the US, happy 4th. For the rest of you, I hope all is well, and we'll talk hopefully on Wednesday. And remember, this weekend is a free class on self-acceptance coming up at the end of the week. So take care, you guys.